My name is Kara. On my channel, we lick? No, we don't. Well, Hey makeup friends, and welcome back to my channel. Or if you are new here, then hello and welcome. My name is Kara. On my channel, we like to mix a little bit of brains, a little bit of beauty, the occasional F-bomb. We like to keep it kind of sassy yet classy over here. Today we're going to be talking about new releases, and I am trying something different with it. I have ranked the new releases. Granted, this ranking is purely subjective and it is based solely on what I am interested in. Your list could look incredibly different from mine, and that's perfectly okay, but I'm really just trying something different. Feel free to let me know in the comments whether you like the ranking, whether you don't like it. If you do like it, would you prefer that I start with the items that I am the least interested in and work towards the ones that I am the most interested in? Or do you like it how I'm going to do it today, which is most interested to least interested? I'm just trying to carve out my own niche in the new release world. There are so many new release videos out there that I just want to put my own spin on it, and I'm just testing the waters to see how we do with ranking. With that out of the way, let's get into it. All right, I'm situated. I am ready to go. I have narrowed it down to 12 products. There are far more than that I could talk about, but I'm trying to keep it at a manageable number, so 12, it's nice and round. Let's use that one. Here we go. The item that I am the most interested in is the newest collection from Rare Beauty. So this is the Stay Vulnerable collection, and it is going to be comprised of cream blushes, glossy lip balms, and liquid eyeshadows. And there's also a brush involved in there as well. But the whole point of this is that you can do like a whole monochromatic look if you want. So all of the tones, all of the shade names are the same from one product to the next. So you can just pick one, get the eyeshadow, get the lip balm, get the cheek product, and you're good to go. Or you can mix and match them. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do, but I do intend on picking up one of each product just to test them out. I have been quite a fan of Rare Beauty's products in the past. Some have definitely performed better than others, but I do like the lip product that I've tried from them, and I have liked their liquid blushes. There is definitely a learning curve to them, so I suspect that these are going to be easier to work with than the liquid ones, but I am curious to try this out. So I plan on picking up one of each, and I will do a video in future letting you know what my thoughts on them are. Next up, we have Beige Cosmetics, and this is part of their travel series. So this is going to be the Lost in Los Angeles eyeshadow palette, and there's also an Après in Aspen highlighter palette. Now, much to my daughter Aspen's dismay, I did not buy the highlighter palette. I knew that I would only be buying it because of the name. And I knew that it was the kind of product that I would review, I would do swatches of, and then I would give it to her and I would never think about it again. And if it didn't have a $17 price point, I would be okay with that. But $17 US is more than $20 Canadian, and it didn't seem like a wise use of money for me. If you're not familiar, I am trying to stick to a monthly beauty budget, and I don't have $20 in that budget to just throw on something because it has a name that I happen to jive with. However, I did pick up the eyeshadow palette. The eyeshadow palette I really did hem and haw about because the color story doesn't really grab me, to be honest. I find that it's really light. I would want to see darker mattes in there, and so I feel like I might be a little bit limited just using this palette. However, when I purchased it, they had a promotion on where if you bought this palette, then you could get one other palette from their travel series at 50% off. So that is what sucked me in. I picked this one up, and I picked up Trendy in Tokyo because I felt that those colors would jive really well with this palette, and that there would be a lot of deepening matte shades in there that I could use with this one to get a more cohesive look. Now, another collection that I was really excited about is the new one from e.l.f., and this is their Mint Melt collection. It includes 2 of their bite-sized eyeshadow palettes. There are eyeshadow sticks, there are lip glosses, and then there are some skincare items as well. For the life of me, I can't remember if I ordered a lip gloss. I don't know. I did order the 2 bite-sized palettes, and I did order the mint eyeshadow stick. So I have received my shipping notification. God only knows how long it'll actually take to arrive because Canada Post moves at a glacial pace. But again, this is going to be the subject of a video. And in fact, I plan on doing like a full face of e.l.f. because some of their products have really been impressing me lately, including those bite-sized palettes. So that is how I envision doing a review on this, is bringing in some of their other products, maybe a foundation, blush, whatever I can find at Walmart or Rexall, and just testing out a bunch of their products and sharing my thoughts with that with you then. Moving on. Okay. Drugstore is kind of banging at this point because the next one that I'm interested in is from Wet n Wild, and these are their newest palettes. They have the Color Icon 5-pan palettes, which are going to retail for $4 each, or the Color Icon 10-pan palettes, which are going to retail for $6 each. They have some really nice color stories in here. Now, I did go on to the Wet n Wild website and I did build a cart. I didn't pull the trigger though because the shipping just irritated me. Story of my life. I'm Canadian. Shipping to Canada is often ridiculously expensive. Now, I might change my mind and I might end up ordering some of these towards the end of the month. We'll see how the beauty budget goes, because these are the kind of palettes that I think are going to take a long time to trickle their way up to Canada, and we'll probably only receive a few of the different colors if we receive them at all. But I would be very interested in trying these. Now, I'm not as impressed with Wet n Wild as I am with e.l.f., but that's not to say that these are bad palettes. And they do have really nice color stories. So there are a few of the 5-pan palettes that I'm interested in, and at least 1 or 2 of the larger 10 pans as well. So I've got my eye on you, Wet n Wild. I'm digging where you're going with this. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Now we're wading into the territory of like, I'll allow it. You know, like it's not offensive to me. I don't dislike it, but nor am I like, take my money. You know, like it's just like, I'll allow it. It's fine. I don't really care. So first up in that regard is another palette from BH, and this is the Garnet palette. This sounds to me like this is going to be the start of a year-long collection that they're going to be putting out, much like they did in 2019 with their mini Zodiac palettes, which if you will recall, I roasted basically every month that they released one of those. This one, definitely better than those mini Zodiacs, just from the looks of them. I have no idea about quality. I did order this one, but I'm not super excited about it. There's something about the 7-pan thing. Is that shade, like the big shade, is that meant to be a blush? Is it an eyeshadow? Why is it so much bigger if it's just an eyeshadow? Why not just give us 6? Why not bump it up to 8? Why is it there? Why? I have questions. I don't get it. We'll see. The only reason I bought it is because I fell hard for BH in 2020, like hard. So I want to see if the quality is there, or because this is going to be like a year-long collection, if they're skimping in some regards. I just want you guys to know, because I know that a lot of people, they'll say like, oh, it's me, it's my birth month, I need to buy it. You don't. You don't need to buy it, and nor do you need to not buy it if it's not in your birth month. But I want to at least give you some objective idea in terms of the quality. That was the word. I lost the word. While I'm not super excited about it, I do enjoy red eyeshadows. I don't have a ton of them in my collection. We'll see. I'm cautiously optimistic, but if this palette does disappoint me, I'm not going to be surprised. Does that make sense? As much as I love BH, I'm just kind of like, we'll see. We'll see. Okay, moving on from there, the next one that I'm like, yeah, I mean, if I could get a free sample of it, I would try it. I'm interested to that degree, but I'm not so much interested to the degree of actually like paying for it. And that would be from Urban Decay. And this is their new Stay Naked Hydromaniac Tinted Glow Hydrator. That is quite the name. Stay Naked Hydromaniac Tinted Glow Hydrator. Good Lord. It says, get the intense hydration of a dewy tinted moisturizer with the long wear coverage of a 24-hour foundation. It doesn't tell you what that coverage is. It just says up to 24-hour coverage. That's not really super inspiring. Maybe it's the lawyer in me, but I'm like, 24-hour coverage, it could be shit coverage and it still qualifies as 24-hour coverage. Doesn't mean it's good, just means it's there. So like, who knows? I'm curious about it, but like I said, not curious enough to pay money for it. There are 12 shades in the range. That in and of itself is not super problematic to me because it's a tinted moisturizer. Those can cover like 3 shades usually for every 1 shade that's there. So there is a bit of a spread. From the looks of the promo picture, there is a good range available. So it's not just 12 shades of like white. So from that perspective, I'm on board. But I don't really have a need for this in my life, and I'm not going to go out of my way to purchase it. There. That's how I feel about that. Okay. Next are these 5-pan palettes from ColourPop. Again, this is like that category of like, I'll allow it. I'm not super offended by it. I think they're a little late to the game with the 5-pan palette thing, but like whatever. That's fine. I'm a fan of 5-pan palettes. For some reason, 5 is like that sweet spot. Quads are a little too limiting. 5 somehow makes the difference. For me personally, at any rate. There are some very pretty color stories in here. I could have done without the pressed glitters, but it's ColourPop. It is what it is. I kind of expect that you're going to see at least one in each palette. I don't dislike them. Like, I truly don't. I just don't really have a need for them. And here's my thing with ColourPop as well. First of all, they release everything so quickly that everything gets stagnant really fast. And then things sell out and then they don't always restock. And so it's like, from like a YouTube perspective, they're a hard bet for me because I can pay the money for them and pay the shipping and all of that kind of thing and wait the like 3 weeks that it takes to actually receive the stuff, and then like 9 releases happen in between. And then I can review it, and if I happen to fall in love with it, that's fantastic for me, but it's probably going to be sold out by the time I get a review up, which is just frustrating for you. So I have to really be excited about something from ColourPop in order for me to shell out that kind of money and then wait the amount of time that it takes for them to send me stuff. So this isn't enough to get me super jazzed. Let us move on, and there is another Wet n Wild item. And this is their tinted hydrator. Why are we calling these tinted hydrators now? Why are we not calling them tinted moisturizers? What's the difference? Hydrator versus moisturizer. I just want to know why 2 different brands are using that word. Welcome to the life of being a lawyer where I overanalyze every word, literally. At any rate, these guys, whereas Urban Decay had an actual shade range, Wet n Wild? It does not. There are 8 shades, 4 of which I think could best be described as porcelain, and then 4 of which could best be described as light medium. So that's crap. I can't get behind the range. I don't know. This one does not interest me at all. I think we're starting to slip into the category of like, I object, sort of. I certainly object to the colors, the shade selection here. This is an oil-free tinted hydrator with hyaluronic acid and vegan, oh God, why did I start trying to read this? Squalene, is that how you say it? Squalene, buildable sheer to medium coverage with a semi-matte finish for a naturally flawless and nourished glow. Okay, but it says, now this could be Trend Mood's description. This might not be the brand, so take this with a grain of salt. But it says, new, Bare Focus Tinted Hydrator, Tinted Moisturizer, Dewy. And then it says semi-matte finish. I'm confused because those things seem to be in a little bit of contrast with each other. Regardless, it's $5. If you're interested, there you go. If you do try it, feel free to let me know what your thoughts are on it and let me know what the finish is. Is it dewy or is it semi-matte? I would like to know, because to me, semi-matte is like natural. It certainly doesn't rise to the level of dewy. From that perspective, I'm curious, but not curious enough to buy it. Then we have Melt coming out with another palette based on a former stack, and this is going to be the Blueprint palette. The stack is currently available for sale for $32 on the Canadian Sephora website. So if I really wanted this color story, I would spend $30 instead of whatever this is going to end up costing. Their palettes are typically like $60 to almost $80 Canadian up here. So I would rather spend $30 if this was the color story that I wanted. There's a reason I didn't buy the Blueprint stack. I mean, there was two reasons. One, it was split pans. Two, I wasn't super jazzed about the color story. Like, I like blues, obviously. But these ones, like, I feel like I already have them. I have the Morte palette. There are some really deep, rich blues in there. I have Smoke Sessions, so there are some like more teal kind of colors. I have other palettes that have warm browns times like 42. Like I have these shades a million times over. This does not interest me in the least. Also, Melt is so hit or miss that this isn't something that I want to put my money out towards because I want to hear reviews first. They have put out some incredible color stories in the past, and the performance of those palettes has been abysmal. Looking at you, 420. I was personally offended by that one. So I want to hear reviews before I would even consider purchasing this. Granted, I understand I have a YouTube channel and I could be the one giving reviews to other people, but at the end of the day, I'm not on Melt's PR. I have to put the money out. If I buy it directly from Melt, I'm not going to be able to return it because the cost of returning it, like, it just doesn't make sense. So then I'm going to wait, get it from Sephora. We're currently in lockdown now, so even if I wanted to return it to Sephora, I'm going to have a hard time doing that. Like, it's money. I don't want to put the money out towards it unless I know it's going to be a sound investment. However, slide your eyes to the left of the palette and there are two gel eyeliners. The darker blue looks very, very pretty. It really, really does. But I probably won't buy it because I won't use it nearly as much as I will tell myself I will use it at the time that I purchase it. Does that make sense? Like, I fall in love with the colors of their gel eyeliners. I have a really deep green one from them and I've used it probably 4 or 5 times. I love the color. I like the performance of it. I just don't fuck with gel eyeliners. They're way too much work. They're messy and they're a pain in the ass and you have to wash the brush and it's a whole thing. I would much rather use a liquid liner, felt tip, done, put it back, it's good to go the next day. So it would be a silly purchase for me. It would be a silly purchase. It's not a shade that I would use on a day-to-day basis, so I'm not buying it. There. Moving on to the next item, and that one is from Milani. This is their newest Gilded palette. This is Gilded Terra. And the only reason that I'm kind of like, I object, is simply because of the description. It says earthy tones for otherworldly looks. Hyperpigmented earth tones in soft mattes and rich shimmers, undeniably gilded. Where are the earth tones? Where? The row of brown? Maybe the green? The rest of them are not earth tones. The rest of garden tones, sure, flowers, okay, but they're not earth tones. Is it a pretty palette? Sure, I can get behind that, that's fine. But can we just describe things for what they are, please? And this is not an earth-toned palette. It's just not. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that it's not an earth-toned palette. Now, I have tried one of their Gilded palettes in the past. I have Gilded Gold, I believe. Gilded Noir, Gilded Gold. Doesn't matter. I have one of their Gilded palettes. Performance is totally fine. Shimmers last throughout the day. Mattes blend nicely. No problems with pigmentation. If this is a color story that draws you in, you're probably not going to be disappointed by it. I'm probably not going to buy it just because it's not a color story that draws me in. It's not. There's some individual shades in there that I think are really pretty, but on the whole, it's not a palette that I'm like, ooh, pitter patter, must get at her. It's a forgettable palette for me. I'm going to finish filming this and I'm going to edit it and then I'm never going to think about this palette again. So that's how I feel about that. All right, we are now down to the last 2 items. This is full on like objection sustained kind of category. First up, Buxom. They are trying to pull a NARS and a Charlotte Tilbury. They have now got a limited edition White Russian collection. So NARS has Orgasm, Charlotte Tilbury has Pillow Talk, Buxom has White Russian. I'll keep my eye on you. You can put out this one collection, but I don't want to see this being a theme where for the next 43 years, everything is White Russian. It's not that exciting of a color story. It's just not. This palette looks 10 years old to me. Like it looks old school with the 6 eyeshadows and the 2 cheek products. No. It would have been smarter to release 2 blushes, a 6-pan palette, your lip products, and then what in the hell is that thing off on its own? What is that? What is that? Oh, it's a highlighter. Okay, well the highlighter can stand on its own, but the blushes should have been either like a split pan duo. As much as I hate split pans, it can be done properly if they're actual individual pans. I can get behind that, but I don't like it in with my eyeshadows. I don't know why it bothers me. It just truly does. I think it looks, dare I say, cheap? I apologize, but that's the only word that's really coming to mind. And it really looks like there hasn't been a lot of effort put into this. Everything from the Huda Beauty style packaging to just the regurgitation of super boring shadows. And I can get behind boring shadows. I love me some neutrals. I truly do. But this just looks highly uninspired. It looks lazy. There, I'll switch out the word cheap and I will put uninspired in here. I don't like it. Also, why is that person's ring so damn big? It just looks out of place with everything else that's so like soft and gentle. This giant black ring. All I can look at is the damn ring. It's a very bad placement. Anyways, let's move on to the last item that I'm just like, what? If we're keeping with this whole theme of like objection and all this kind of stuff, like this is like guilty, off to horrible jail you go, MAC. There was so much backlash on this that they had to release a statement. So this is the MAC and Sims palette. Although it's not. It was a pre-existing palette. They've just switched out the front of it. Like, I don't, it's laughable. I don't even know what to say about it. I'm trying to read the like shade description: frosty, bright white, pastel, coral, muted, burgundy, plum brown, light frosty pink. Yeah, it's light, all right. It's frosty. I could probably wear it, but I don't think anybody who's deeper than me could pull it off without it looking ashy as fuck. I mean, if Buxom is uninspired, this is like, we need to bring out the paddles and like try to get some like life started, try to get the heart restarted, because this is dead on arrival. The MAC, come on. You have been in this game for far too long to be doing this. Like, talk about a missed opportunity. It's the freaking Sims, for God's sake. Take a look at the Sims. There are so much to draw inspiration from. You can, like, I'm spitting on myself. It's so bad. This is atrocious. This, like, my Sims, who I've been neglecting since 2018, are rolling over in their graves. Like, what the fuck? This is terrible. I don't even have any other words. I'm just gonna sit here and just incoherently say this is terrible like 28 times if I don't wrap it up right now. So let's wrap it up here. I want to hear from you below. Do you like the ranking, all of that stuff? But also, what are your thoughts on these products? Anything that catches your eye, anything that you're like, absolutely not? I would love to hear from you. With that said, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and I will see you in my next video. Until then, just be a decent human being. Bye for now.